Oh, perfect. Now flip your phone around the other way so everybody behind you can see it, and I can see your home screens. I see a lot of children and dogs. Left and right. Here we go. Left. Right. Left. Right. Stop the center. Squiggle and turn around. Back up. Now turn your light off. Save your battery. Here we go. All right. Who's right-handed out there? Make some noise. All right. Who's left-handed out there? Make some noise. All right. Who's ambidextrous? Good for you. Pick your favorite. Your dominant hand. Put it up in the sky just like this. Perfect. Once it's up there, make a fist. Nice, strong fist. I love it. Now, I need you to dig down deep. Channel your inner 90s boy band. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, 98 Degrees, whatever. Channel it. We're going to pull that fist down nice and dramatic and turn. You ready? Wait for it. 3, 2, 1. Dramatic pull. Oh. And then look at it. Look at your nice, strong fist. When was the last time you looked at your fist? Yesterday? The day before? We're going to shake it to the beat of the music. Band and orchestra geeks. That's 2 and 4. Here we go. Let's do it. I love it. Make sure this is your dominant hand. Now, I want you to stare at this dominant hand. Just look at it. Start shaking it a little faster. And then I want you to dig down deep. And I want you to scream as loud as you can at your fist. Now, fist bump. Here we go. Switch to the other side. Switch back. This feels weird. C2E2, who's ready for a show today? Then please welcome to the stage Josh Horowitz, host of the Happy Sad Confused podcast.
Hello, hi. Hi, Chicago, how's it going? Guys, this is amazing. This is a moment. Thank you guys so much for coming. Happy Saturday, happy Chicago, happy C2E2. I'm a New Yorker, but I got on a flight at 6 a.m. to see you guys because this is really, really important. My name is Josh Horowitz. I host normally a podcast called Happy Sad Confused, but I have been enlisted today for a real moment. This is huge, guys. 40 years ago, The Breakfast Club came out. And look, it defined a generation. And not only that, somehow it also defined every generation, all the people that have come since then. At a certain point in your lives, you sit down, your older brother, your older sister, your parent shows you The Breakfast Club. Maybe you discover it for yourself. And I feel like we all connect with it, don't we? It resonates. All of these characters resonate. And I think it's really important that we're here in Chicago because look, John Hughes is a favorite son of Chicago, right? So it makes this all the more poignant. And this is really history in the making, guys, because truly, this is the first time the 5 cast members of The Breakfast Club have reunited in, I think, 40 years. Are you ready for a moment? Please make them feel welcome. Everybody, give it up for The Breakfast Club! Love you too!
Another round for John Hughes.
Do you guys feel welcome? Do you feel good?
Yes, thank you.
Wow. Well, that was a moment. Guys, if you clap all the time, we're not going to ask any questions. We have no time. Guys, it's amazing to see all of you together. I mean, 40 years later, congratulations about a movie that is still so near and dear to all of us. First, just talk to me. This is truly the first time all 5 of you have been shared space in about 40 years. Is that correct, for the record?
That is correct.
Wow, okay. What's running through your head? This is like having your high school reunion like filmed on camera in real time. So put me in any of your heads right now. What's going on, Molly?
I don't know, I feel really very emotional and moved to have us all together. This is the first time that Emilio has joined us. We don't have to use the cardboard cutout anymore, so because he's here. So yeah, I feel really moved that we're all together.
Emilio, you feel the love in the room. What took you so long, buddy? What's going on?
You know, I skipped all of my high school reunions, so this just was something that finally I felt I needed to do for myself. But Josh, this one felt special. It's here in Chicago where we made the film. It obviously the 40th anniversary, and it just felt like it was time. I heard this, somebody told me that Molly said, well, does Amelia just not like us? And I thought, and that broke my heart. I thought, no, of course, I love all of them. And that just made sense. So here I am. And I'm...
Does the Breakfast Club feel like it's a presence in your life virtually every day for the last 40 years? I mean, is it always there in a way, Judd? Do you feel that it referenced to you day by day? Is it something that comes up here and there, or what?
No, it doesn't come up every day, but I think certain people, you could see it in their eyes, that they have a memory of you, and it's from that film. And it's very specific, it's very recognizable to me, and I'm very flattered by it. I think that I consider the Breakfast Club to be an incredibly fast horse. You don't need to use a crop. You don't need to use your spurs. You just got to try and stay on until the end of the race. So
we are here in Chicago. I'm just curious, you shot the film not so far away from here. What are your memories of being in the area? Did you spend a lot of time in the city? Anthony?
I remember John taking us to great places like Kingston Mines and all these great blues clubs, and we'd take us to record stores. And I mean, we would do all kinds of fun stuff. But
We saw Prince. We saw Prince here.
saw Prince, yeah. But I remember we would go from like
And James Brown.
the O'Hare Hilton to a van to the set, so it was kind of like we went right to the set every day, pretty much. But and we shared. What was the school we shot at, guys? What was it called?
Maine North.
Maine North, right?
Maine
Which
North.
at the time we shared with the Chicago
That's
Blitz. Remember that?
It's now a state trooper station, is that true?
I've heard that, yeah.
We should go there tonight.
But it was like, it was kind of like filming a play. You know, every day we'd have about 8 or 10 pages of work to do, and we just dug into it and got through it with John's leadership and guidance, and it was just such a great experience. I mean, I have nothing but great memories of it.
So, Anthony, you and Molly had obviously worked with John immediately prior on 16 Candles. No audition necessary, I would imagine.
No, I don't think either one of us auditioned. Wait, did you audition for?
No, I remember just John calling me at home, and I was still living with my parents in New York, and then he told me we'd be doing the movie. I was like, cool, let's go. No argument here, John.
And where were the rest of you at in your respective careers? Did you have to, was this like a highly sought after project at the time, or was it just another gig for you, Allie?
I don't know how highly sought after it was. I'm actually not really sure. John just called up and just said, I want you to come in. And he didn't have a script. He didn't give me a script. He was just talking to me about Allison, just a little bit. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I don't think I saw the script until after I was cast. I had an idea of who Allison was, but I didn't. Wait, I knew you back then, didn't I? Did I know you?
No, I don't think so. No,
This has become a commercial for AARP. And I'm getting my monthly magazines now, and I don't appreciate that shit. Okay? I'm not a boomer, but I am pushing 60. Thank you very much.
Well, originally he was going to do Breakfast Club before he did 16 Candles, and then he wrote 16 Candles over July 4th weekend and turned it into the studio, and they said, oh, we want to do that one first. So they put Breakfast Club on hold, and then, from my understanding, John Cusack was going to play Bender, and Joan Cusack was going to play Allison. I don't know who was going to play the other parts. And then after 16 Candles, he gave me the script. I don't know if he gave Michael the script or not. And originally, he had talked to me about playing Allison, but I wanted to play the other part because I felt like that was less like me. And then we did auditions in Los Angeles for the other parts. So you were present for the auditions, right? Because I remember that we were when they were auditioning for Bender, right? Were you there?
I think that was the first time we were all together.
Yeah.
Was when he was looking for Bender, and that's when we all met Judd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was there to read for Allison.
It's a very highly sought after
They
part.
cast Allie, and I said, can I see her screen test? I don't believe it. That she could be better, but she was.
But the first time that we all got together was John had organized a read-through of the script at a hotel in Century City. And I had, the night before, had just had all 4 wisdom teeth pulled, impacted wisdom teeth. And I was on pain pills. And my agent called and said, listen, they're going to do the read-through. It's the rest of the, and you have to show up. I said, look, my face is swollen. I'm on pain pills. I'm bleeding out. I said, they said, no, it's really important. You have to be there. I was like, okay. So they sent a car for me because I obviously couldn't drive. Got to the hotel, we did the read-through, and then at the end of the read-through, and that was the first time I think we'd all met. At the end of the read-through, John says, listen, I brought the first cut of my movie, 16 Candles. Or no, was it 16 Candles? Yeah, first cut. And he says, I want to show it to you. And so we said, okay, great. And he puts the film on, and we're sitting there, and I didn't think I made it through the opening credits, and I passed out. From the pain pills and just from the ordeal of having my teeth extracted. And I woke up at the end credits, and I looked at Judd, and Judd says, I think you're getting fired. True, right? And I believed it, too. I thought, oh, gosh, yeah, I just failed the final test here. So
Here's a provocative question. Were there cliques on the ultimate movie about cliques in high school? I mean, there was a little bit of an age gap between some of you. Did the early 20s folks hang out more than the 16-year-olds on set?
Well,
or?
I mean, we work 6 days a week. So you have one night off Saturday night. Emilio and I and Allie are old enough to legally drink. Molly and Michael are not. Molly and Michael also have to log hours in school with a tutor during the day while making the movie. So there's one night to go out for 3 people. Allie stays in her room mostly. I have no idea what goes on in there. So on Saturday night, Emilio and I would drive into Chicago from...
Here it comes.
This is why Emilio wasn't showing up all these years. He didn't want these stories out there.
From Des Plaines, we drive into Chicago. It's 1983, 84. We cannot find a single place on Division or Rush streets that will let in a guy wearing sneakers and a guy wearing motorcycle boots. We find one place called the Jazz Bowls, which no longer exists anymore, and if any of you have been there or know any of those people involved, it's the greatest place in the world. They let us in, they didn't care, and so we enjoyed Chicago, the city, for 3 hours once a week.
And I barely got a GED. Thank you, everybody.
I mean, look, the name that will keep coming up in this conversation is, of course, the great late John Hughes. And by the way, I believe some John Hughes families in the audience tonight.
If I may, John Hughes III and his lovely daughters. They're not signing autographs later. Don't bother them on the way out.
So, I mean, look, to hear about John Hughes, you hear about the word collaboration a lot, and the fact that he was somebody that's obviously respected even a 16-year-old's opinions, and wanted that incorporated into the script. Can any of you talk a little bit about, in subsequent years, it probably struck you even more, I would imagine, how special he was, how unique he was as a collaborator.
The word collaboration, a lot of directors use it, and what they really mean by it is that during the first read-through, they won't boss you around. That's not collaboration. That's just they bite their tongue till they push you around. Hughes meant it when he said to us to participate in the process of making this movie. He liked us. I didn't know how rare it was going to be for a director to like actors. We are, a lot of times, a necessary evil. A lot of times, they say they want partners, but they want slaves. Hughes wanted partners. He said to us, if it doesn't sound authentic, make adjustments. The script supervisor, the guy that keeps track of everything all the characters says, he retired after The Breakfast Club. He was pretty much done with that. So Hughes meant it. He wanted us to be members of The Breakfast Club. And he gave us freedom that I thought was going to happen all the time in movies. No. No.
The script was so good to begin with.
Yeah.
It was really, truly a joy to say those lines. And I always felt like we would usually do it as written, and then we would kind of do whatever we wanted. And he loved it. I mean, there's so much of the movie that's improvised.
Is it true that, the scene where you're all kind of revealing how you got to detention is mostly improvised?
No, that scene, I think, was pretty much written.
Yeah. Oh, that is written.
There were
Okay.
changes within it, but that structure
Yeah.
was the same. What's amazing is when Michael is in the scene where he's stoned, this whole notion of chicks cannot hold their smoke. You know what it is. When he's doing all that stuff, Molly and I are off camera. It's on film, not on video. On the big Panaflex cameras, with the biggest film magazine, 1,500 feet.
You got to keep this in front of you.
Everyone's a director. No. And you can hear when the film runs out. It clicks, clicks, clicks. Now, an operator, the guy who runs the camera, he's really not allowed ever to turn the camera off on his own. Even if it runs out of film, you keep it running until the director says cut. Michael's in the middle of close camera coverage of his routine. We love it. And we can't laugh. If we laugh, we blow the take. So it's on Michael, but we're all there trying to be quiet, and he's killing it. And the camera has run out of film. Hughes knows it. He doesn't say cut, because Michael's in the middle of a routine. So we all sit there, and we wait another 2 minutes until Michael takes a natural pause, and Hughes goes, cut. This does not, in my experience, it's never happened since. And that is a reflection on his affection for the characters that he created. He's the first writer who could ever write someone who was young without them being less, except less old.
Well said.
But I will say that it was a little bit daunting for our editor, Dee Dee Allen, because to have that much film, it made her job a little challenging, and I think she did an incredible job.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Dee Dee. Yeah.
She cut Reds, Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, just an incredible editor.
There is the fabled 2.5 hour cut. What?
I believe Emilio and I saw an uncut compilation of all Dee Dee Allen, the whole film, everything we shot in sequence. No music, no color timing, no editing, just it all slapped together. It was like over 4 hours long. It was like being in detention. The movie ends, I'm sitting next to Emilio, and he looks over to me and he goes, it's unreleasable. And I go, they're gonna cut it and put music in it, right? And he goes, no. And I go, really? And he goes, you're an idiot.
I want to backtrack. Anthony, surely, how did you know how to play stoned if you'd never been stoned at 16 years old?
If I may, don't call me Shirley. Airplane, anybody? I'm sorry. Was I stoned at 16? Yeah, maybe.
Some people start late.
Right.
That whole sequence when we were getting high, that was all improvised. Michael's stuff, my stuff, the I'm so popular at the school, like that, none of that was in the script. And he had like Judd said, he just let the camera go on and on and on. And he loved he loved the work that I did there so much that he took my mom into the room where they have the dailies to show my mom her daughter's work. And my mom is sitting there watching her daughter pretend like she was high for like 20 minutes.
How about putting a lipstick on with your boobs? That was amazing.
Was
Movie magic, folks.
was there a choreographer for the dancing, or was that simply what came naturally? No.
There was a choreographer, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, there was. There was
Remember
a
any of
choreographer
that
there, but I
shit.
mean, most of what they used was not stuff that. Yeah, there was a choreographer that was doing the when we were doing the thing, across the. Yeah.
I think Michael pulling his sleeves down was choreographed. Was that?
I don't remember a lot of that. I'm sorry, guys. Not gonna lie.
Is there anything, we've touched on a few things, but anything that you take a personal source of pride in seeing in the finished film?
Paul Gleason. Paul Gleason, may he rest in peace.
Yes.
I think Paul Gleason was. He was a great guy to hate. I really loved him, but he was fun to hate, easy to hate. Very much an enthusiastic participant. So much in the movie that he did, I never saw till I saw the movie, because he's working separate from us. This hallway stuff, where him walking down and looking at his reflection in the fire extinguisher glass and going haga naga. I mean, what the hell is he doing? It was great. It was really good. So I was glad I got to torture him a bit. And he would sometimes ask us at the end of work where we were going for dinner. Why do you want to know, Paul? I'd like to join you. Thanks, Paul, but we don't want you to join us. So when we do the scene where I'm in the basketball court, when he wants the basketball back, every take we did, I gave him the ball back differently and in a really kind of, if you'll pardon the expression, assholic kind of way. And on the one they use in the film, I roll it to him and he kicks it at me. And if I had not jumped in the air and spread my legs, the scene would have ended right there. So Paul was great. I really liked working with him.
John Kapelos, also.
Oh yeah, Kapelos as the
Janitor.
Emilio's dad.
Does anybody want? Yeah, go ahead.
I just
Anthony.
have memories of John. I mean, truly, he was so right there with us throughout the whole process. Not to get too serious, but like, he was just the greatest. He was the best, and it was always an ongoing collaboration with each of us. And we would always have these sidebars, like right around camera. The other thing he did, he would carve out time for us just to sit and rehearse and talk about the work, which was something we later learned wouldn't really happen much. Right. But I remember John being in the back with us, and we were doing that big scene you mentioned before, Josh. And John was right there with us, and he'd be laughing through the take with you or crying through the take. And I have just such great memories of that, because I always wanted to make him laugh. He was like a big brother to me. He was like a father to me. But he was always just right there. And this is long before, like, Video Village, where is it? And there's like 12 people around, a bunch of, they're watching TV on the set, And for John, yeah, he was like he was as close as the camera puller, the guy that would focus pull. This is when we had film, kids, for you millennials out there. You see kids beyond Instagram, we have it. But I have great memories of just the love that we've expressed. And you said beautifully, Judd, some things about John. And he was just right there, so present with you. And he just had a vibe about everything, even his music. I remember going to your house, John, and visiting you on the weekends with your brother and your mom. I could get verklempt now. Hold on a second, guys. And I'd go into a room, and John had a whole room, like floor-to-ceiling records. It looked like a record store. And then by the window, in your beautiful home you grew up in, was his desktop, And so that idea of music and the integration of music and how he wove all that into, that was all him, And he knew music before we did. And even the whole 80s, British craze and all that stuff that led to MTV. I mean, John was on it, and just loved the process. And like you said earlier, Judd, loved us, and that came through. And we were spoiled, because all these years later, I've had a 49-year career. I started when I was 8 years old. no one matches that. No one's come close to that. So the love that I feel for him still is just amazing. So I just want to say that.
I always felt in a weird way like that the work was half done, that at some point we would all get back together because there were too many questions by everyone. What happens on Monday? The film is about the fact that everyone has to make that decision for themselves, what happens on Monday. But I felt personally that it was one shoe, and I needed the second shoe, and that could only come from John. So his passing was profound for me because it's like the work will always be in a circle leaning one direction. What we needed was the one to counterbalance it, because Hughes explained to us the differences between the young and old. So now was the time for him to show us where we meet in the end, because we're all older now, but we're not going to get that, which is sad. But in a way, Hughes has been telling us, think for yourself, think for yourself, think for yourself. So,
have any of you gone back and looked at it in recent years and found something new? I mean, you're at different stages of your life. There must be new meanings and new profundities to get from watching this movie. I think that's why it does resonate with folks. You can watch it at 15 and watch it at 55, and it still means something.
I've watched them with my kids, and it's a wild experience.
What is it like?
I watched the first one with my now 21-year-old daughter when she was a little too young to watch it, but it was pretty amazing. We ended up doing a piece about it for This American Life, and I have to say that it changed my parenting watching it with her. I mean, a lot of this stuff went over her head, thankfully, but how it spoke to her, you know, which characters she identified with and why, it opened up this incredible conversation. And if you would have told me that when I was 16 years old, one day I would be watching that movie with my 10-year-old and change the way that I parent, I mean, it's just mind-blowing. Yeah. And then I watched the movie recently with my 15-year-olds, a little more age appropriate. And I have to say that they didn't pick up their phones once, which to me was, that was a win.
I think, Josh, what's interesting is as we're sitting here, and I've said this before, but it's interesting for young actors when you get cast in something like The Breakfast Club. It's a job that you got, right? Somebody said yes after there were 200 or 1,000 no's, and you never know what that movie is going to turn out to be, if it's going to even be releasable. So the fact that we've all ended up in this film and we have this on our resume is I mean, actors would, you know, obviously we all have things on our resume we're not proud of, but this is one of those movies that is just, it just stands the test of time. It's generationally, it's a crossover film. And how lucky we are to have at least one. And many of us have more than just one on our resumes. It's an extraordinary thing, but it's never by design. It's always by accident. And I think that's something that people miss out on. Well, when you chose that movie, no, that the director chose us. We were lucky enough to be at the right place at the right time to be involved in something like that.
And certainly the right time, because had we made the movie any later, there's no way I could push Michael around.
True that.
Because when we started the movie, I was taller than he was. When we finished the movie, we're about the same height. When we do the post-sync dubbing, the editing of it, I swear to God, he's taller than me. And by the time the movie comes out, is he wearing lifts in his shoes?
I would often refer to it as the Puberty on Film trilogy that changed my life.
Yeah, it wasn't until I saw Edward Scissorhands, and I'm like going, oh my God, he can kick my ass.
What's your relationship to the music in the film? If you hear one of the iconic songs from the soundtrack come on, do all the memories come flooding back?
First of all, that Simple Minds song seems to follow me around. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I still love it. It's a great song. I just think that the takeaway from the film for me is this idea of commonality, that we're more alike than we're different. And I think that's really powerful. And I think as time has progressed, it also resonates as sort of, not an anti-bullying message, but there's something really resonant about what comes through, you know? So I think, for me, that's the significance of it. And I think that when people watch it, it's almost like unconscious group therapy or something, you know? They see themselves in one of us or some of us or what have you. So, yeah, I mean, that's just, not to get too serious and bring everyone down, but that's how I feel about it. And I think that it speaks and continues to find younger generations as a testament to John's work and his writing and things that you said earlier, Judd, about his ability. You know, he never forgot. He always had an ear for that, you know, and just where he came from and everything else, yeah. Anyway, I'll hand it over.
And also, I think that part of what makes his work so resonant, John Hughes's, I mean, and also Michael's, but John, is that he's not going to leave a stone unturned. And if he's going to put you in the direction to unturn stones for yourself, and if you can't, he'll give you a little nudge. And that's why his movies are so unique. They seem to be like everyone else's movies, but they're not. And part of that is the interweaving of his music, his understanding of rhythm. I mean, we measure time in music, don't we? We measure space differently from how we measure time. And Hughes, I think his movies are connected to his music, are connected to his movies, to the images, to the music, to the images, to the music, to the images. I don't know, when directors want to work from a storyboard, that's wonderful, but that's like the cartoon pictures of what a movie is. That doesn't connect to the auditory experience at all. So none of these guys are going to get close to John until they understand the sound of John. My feeling about it.
We're gonna, I want to mention that we're going to take some audience questions, so I think there might be microphones. I'm going to get to them pretty soon, so if you want to start winding up they're going to bring up mic stands, hopefully, and we'll take some of your amazing questions. So many iconic moments, I think, of this film. The ending, Judd, the fist in the air. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be?
Did you have a choreographer for that fist?
Thank you, Anthony.
What?
No, I just want to say one thing. The thing that you mentioned earlier, like how he left it to the audience. For example, the joke. For 40 years, people have asked me, what's the punchline to Judd's joke when he's in the ceiling, right? Or even the idea about how it ends. Like, he left that up to us as the audience, right? Like, what did you think? How do you think? Do you think they will be friends? Do you think they'll dog each other when they get back to school or what have you? So that was just kind of echoing what you said.
It's a gesture that means victory. Yeah. But John leaves it open to what is victorious? What's the win? It's clearly not getting the diamond earring from the popular girl. The movie's too thick for that. So it's something else.
Wait, that was a hot moment, though. I mean, I just got to write a letter. I didn't get any chick at the end. Anyway, sorry.
At least the smart one wrote the letter, right? No, but I think it was just, I miss him. I miss his movies. I see the movies that he wrote, that he didn't direct, and I see the difference between them. And I see his adult movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is just so good. And it's like,
Those aren't pillows?
As I get older, I miss that we didn't see his movies get older, and just whether I was involved or not doesn't matter. I miss those films.
Does anybody want to nominate a favorite line from the film? I'm sure you're quoted some iconic lines all the time. Anyone have a favorite from The Breakfast Club?
I love when you get old, your heart dies. Allison's line. I think that was really moving and also so beautifully expressed by Allie in the movie.
I like it, though. I like Allison's line, tons.
Yeah, tons. Tons.
Yes. Vodka, really? Tons.
Did you guys shoot the film relatively in sequence?
Yes, which was very rare. We could do that because it was one set.
So that brings up a couple things. I mean, for you, Allie, I mean, you don't speak for a while in the film. Is that... No.
But her presence is
of
there.
course. But I mean, I'm curious, like, for you as an actor, was that on your mind? Like, where's my dialogue, or was like, I'm happy to kind of sit back and wait for it to come to me?
I was so happy to just be able to be in the back of the room watching everybody, trying not to laugh, and just getting to be this Allison bizarre presence that you just don't know anything about, really.
And the baloney on the statue is perhaps like, you know,
I know.
how are you going to put that into words, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a film that's iconic to the point that even the poster is iconic, and that's a very famous Annie Leibovitz.
Annie Leibovitz.
Does anybody remember shooting
Oh, yeah.
that?
Definitely.
Was that like the one and done? Like, this is the pose, this is obviously how it's going to be, or did that take a while to figure out what it was going to be?
There were a few. There were a few that they shot.
There were
against
some by the lockers,
some,
yeah.
some in a circle,
yeah.
some standing in a line, and some of them John was in with us. There were some cool shots that John was in with us.
Did any of you feel, again, by virtue of the fact that you perform these roles so well, I would imagine sometimes, you know, casting directors think you're the role. Were you typecast at all based on any of these parts in the years after? Did you find that you were defined by?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ask a yes or no question, get a yes or no answer, I guess.
I have nothing to add.
Talk to me a little bit about the iconic wardrobe, guys. Who brought ideas? Who brought stuff home? How much of this wardrobe still exists in the world? Judd, did you bring Bender's wardrobe from your own closet? Or?
Yeah, I wore in the movie pretty much what I wore at the audition, to the chagrin of the costume director, Marilyn Vance. Hughes said, what he's wearing will be fine. And she said, I have some ideas for this. And he said, just make what he's wearing. That was that. And my mother, very unhappy. My whole life, she's like, tuck in your shirt, tie your shoes. And then she sees people like copying the look, and she's like, what have you done?
So Judd was dressing as Judd. Anybody else, was it your own wardrobe, or did you feel like you were stretching? Yeah.
We had a costume designer, Marilyn Vance, who also did Pretty in Pink. And we talked about my character's wardrobe in Los Angeles, and we had a whole concept, and it was going to be layers, and it was a really good concept, but then when everything arrived in Chicago, it just didn't look that great, and I wasn't really happy with it, and so John said, let's go shopping. So we went shopping, and I picked out my wardrobe, the entire thing, the boots, the you know, the skirt, everything, everything. What sash?
Did you have a sash around your waist?
No, it was a skirt.
I was going to wear a skirt. I just
There
went
was
with a
no sash.
sweatshirt and khakis. No one had a meeting about any of my shit.
But I remember, Molly, your
I don't remember the
instincts
choreographer either. Sorry.
were, your
I remember the
instincts
dance.
were top. I mean, your instincts to change your wardrobe were spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Thank you, Emilio.
Yeah. I mean,
Was eat my shorts a phrase at the time in pop culture? Or did The Simpsons owe you a debt of gratitude for that phrase?
What phrase?
Eat my shorts? The Simpsons didn't exist yet.
Right, that's
right.
what I'm saying.
So I think, yeah, it probably comes from the Breakfast
Yeah, it was
Club.
it was in the script.
Let's go to some amazing audience questions. We'll go back and forth. Let's start with you, sir. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Louie from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, Lou.
Oh, thank you. I got some fans of St. Louis in the house. My question is for the whole cast, but specifically for Ali Sheedy. So there seems to be a growing consensus, at least among the people that I see on the internet, that Allison was more attractive before her makeover. And I want to gauge the entire cast's reaction to that specific belief that that Allison, there was a downgrade.
I just want to say I'm not responsible for the makeover, and I was really not happy
I'm looking at you, Molly Ringwald.
with it. I thought that it would have been better just to strip off all of the makeup and just have Allie's face just fresh scrubbed because it's so beautiful. I didn't like the way that they did her hair at the end. I was not responsible.
You know, those people online don't understand that it's explained in the scene. Why are you doing this? Because you're letting me.
That's a
That's
great line.
why.
Yeah.
Now, the actress doesn't always win their battles with the director. The actor doesn't as well. Some battles you fight and you can be right and still not win. This might have been one of those cases.
Yes. Yes.
And now for your makeover. We want to bring him up now. We're going to shave his beard. Come on up. Let's go. We're gonna...
Thanks for your question. Let's go over here. Yep.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm from Chicago. I grew up watching all the John Hughes movies with my dad, and they're especially important now. He just recently passed away. So my question for the cast here is, what is your favorite John Hughes movie?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Planes, trains, for sure. Yeah, same.
The Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club.
She says Breakfast Club too.
There we go. I'll say the Breakfast Club too.
Sorry about your dad also. I just lost mine a couple years ago, and it's painful.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kate. I'm from the South Loop, so 5 blocks that way. And and I wanted to ask, what is something like physical or metaphorical you would want to bring back from the 80s for kids of today?
Lack of
Leg
cell
warmers?
phones.
No cell phones.
I think everybody agrees no cell phones.
Yeah, if
That's
we
what they
could
want.
go back to a time where we didn't have social media, I think that would be an incredible gift. But I you know, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. But I think for me, that's something that I'm kind of sad that our kids are missing out on a world without cell phones, because you I don't know, you learned a lot more. You saw a lot more. It was better for your posture and your neck. Yeah, so that's my answer.
You know, I think we should bring back...
We spent our time looking up rather than down, and we saw more of the world as a result of that. So I think I would, yeah, no cell phones.
Thank you. And thanks, Allie, for being the basket case. Me too.
Thank you.
Amelia, did you have an 80s thing you wanted to come back?
Well, I think we should bring back cooperation between the left and the right in our political system, because whatever they want to do is fine with me, but they have to get along better, because we're being left in the dust.
I miss
Representation
soundtracks.
by the people, for the people. That's what I want.
Where are we? I think we're over here. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Karen, but I'm a nice Karen, and I won't call the manager on you, I promise. And I'm of the same age group, so I actually saw the movie like when it first came out, and then I was 15 when 16 Candles came out, so like you are my kings and queens. Oh my God, that you're all together, it's amazing. Sorry, I'll stop gabbing on. So when you were filming at that time period, who was the most like the character that they played at that time?
Who was most like their character at the time?
Judd?
Well, you had the wardrobe, Judd. We know that.
It wasn't wardrobe that I wore around in
No, I
the
gotcha.
streets.
Yeah, yeah.
It was, I read the
It was a
script and
choice,
go,
yeah.
this seems to make sense for that. I don't, yeah, no.
I think we're all really different from our characters, actually.
John Capelos was very much the janitor. always cleaning up. Very method.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Earl. I'm from Tinley Park. Back in the 80s, I worked at Blockbuster, and I rented out your movie thousands and thousands of times.
Be kind, rewind.
Absolutely. Be divine, all of those. If you were to go back in time, what movie, excluding The Breakfast Club, would you rent to watch one of your fellow castmates?
We have an early
War
contender
Games.
for question.
War Games and The
War Games.
Tempest.
Yeah. War Games.
Dead Zone, and everything Emilio's done. Especially Repo Man. I'm sorry, Repo Man's one of the greatest movies ever made. One of the best soundtracks ever made.
Oh, high art.
Oh, there you go.
Good choice. I think let's go over here. Oh, yeah, sorry, go over here. Yeah.
Hi, Lori from Indianapolis. As a fellow Gen Xer, I just want to say thank you for creating our anthem movie. And not to bring down the mood, but thank you for staying alive, which for Gen X has been a challenge for our generation. I have an embarrassing large poster, the Annie Leibovitz print with your essay. So when I look at it, I always wonder, what has been the emotional price tag of carrying the fact that you were the anthem of our generation? Like, you've carried the fact that you dug deep and created these characters that meant so much to all of us.
I think that for me personally, I believe people are born with grace. And it's almost a miracle if at your last day of life you still have any grace left at all. And I think it's hard when you become a public figure to become comfortable with the way people look at you. It's like the first time you see yourself from the side. You know, you go to some tailor and he wants to see the pants from the side and you're like, oh, and that's your own head that you're seeing from the side. It's scary. It's like the first time you hear your voice on a tape. So I think that we sacrifice a certain amount of grace for a name. And the older you get, you realize that's kind of a deal made with the devil. So you try, why I find this convention and things like this so wonderful is that, I mean, people wait in a line to tell me that I've done something that has affected them positively. It's incredible. So I think we sacrifice grace. That's what happens, you know. It's like you want to go down and get a pack of cigarettes, well, you better zip up your fly. There's going to be an article about it, you know, so. But you give up your grace.
Super rad answer, thanks.
Go for it.
Hello, I'm Gene from Comic Book Man, and I'm the guy that brought the VHS for 3 of you. The other 2, see you in a few hours. But my main question is, has either of you guys served real detention when you were in high school?
Good question.
Thank you.
Yes.
No one is surprised, with all due respect, Chuck.
I'm trying to remember if I served detention or not.
I think if you have to try and remember, you didn't.
Yeah, not sure that I did.
I would say, thanks to John, I wasn't in high school. I was on set. I didn't miss that shit either, by the way. Just saying. Just saying.
Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hey, Maria from Charlotte, North Carolina. You guys, your characters are iconic for so many of us. I'm a millennial. I had your poster in my college dorm room, and my cousin stole it because it came out when she was younger. And, well, it's fine. I still love you guys. But my question for you, is there a lesson that you may have learned from either your character or one of your castmates that you've carried with you through your life and your career?
Lessons learned from the characters?
Either the characters or each other. Yeah.
Well, Emilio once told me on the set that I'm only going to be really safe if I can hit a moving target at 100 yards. So I've taken that advice. I've been working on it, but I'm not quite there yet.
I think, for me, the overriding message of the movie is that we're all different, but we're essentially all the same. We're all people, we all have our own struggles, and I think that that's a lesson that everyone can carry with them and realize that somebody that you think is your enemy is not really your enemy. And if we could all just kind of see people as the same as us and feeling the same emotions and the same heartache and the same fears, that maybe we could get along better.
I see a Claire.
Hi,
Go
Claire.
ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Caitlin. I am from Schaumburg, Illinois, and I actually just finished watching the documentary Brats, and it was discussing how, like, the Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire, 16 Candles were a cultural revolution for, like, youth culture. And so my question relating to that is, do you think something something like The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, any of those movies could be made today and have the same cultural impact that those movies had on. I'm going to admit I was born in the 90s, but I still love all John Hughes 80s films. So, like, do you think a movie like that could be made today that it resonates with so many different generations after it has been made and released?
It's a great question. It makes me wonder because I think because everybody has a mobile device and we all watch, everything is like screen agnostic now. Everybody's just on their phone, you know. So, but I just think in terms of the quality cuts through, you know. And I think when you hit people in the heart with any type of art, I think it is possible. But that's a great question. Yeah. I wish I was a millennial. Anyway.
I think it's a great question. I personally don't believe in remaking that movie because I think this movie is very much of its time. It resonates with people today. But I believe in making movies that are inspired by other movies but build on it and represent what's going on today. You know, this is very, you know, it's very white. This movie, you don't see a lot of different ethnicities. We don't talk about gender, none of that. And I feel like that really doesn't represent our world today. So I would like to see movies that are inspired by The Breakfast Club, but take it in a different direction.
It's like you figure all music from punk rock to Beethoven comes from 7 notes, just in different sequences and in different keys.
But also, I'm sorry.
No, I was done. That was just.
Movies today are concept driven. They're not character driven. And the beauty of John is that he focused on characters first. And when you think about trying to pitch this movie today, it's about 5 kids sitting in a library, you know, all day in detention, and then the studio executives would march you right out the door and say, "There's no. Well, where are the monsters? Where's the car chases? Where are the big effects?" So, and it's also important to remember that we made this movie for $1 million, which at the time was still a lot of money, but it was by universal standards was not thought of as a big giant tentpole film as they make today. So there was a lot of risk involved, but by today's standards, this movie I don't think would ever get made. No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elvon. I go to school in Lincoln Park, but actually, I'm here to talk about my mom. She's a child of the 80s, and when I told her that you guys were going to be here, she lost her mind. She was very excited. Her name is Suzanne, and she graduated the year this movie came out. And so I wanted to ask if there was anything that you could say to her that would mean the world to me and the universe to her.
Your son is very brave.
Thank you.
Hi, Mom.
Stole my bit.
Thanks for that.
Hi, my name is Gabriel. I'm from Michigan. And I was born in the 2000s, but I'm a big fan of John's work. He's one of my all-time favorite filmmakers. So much so, I was inspired to make an 80s short film for my college thesis. It's on YouTube. It's called There Goes Stacy. You can go watch it. Shameless plug. But anyways, my question, Judd and Anthony, I know you guys talked already about how John was a great collaborator. Molly, Allie, and Emilio, were there any specific memories or experiences that you could give as advice to me on how to create a good collaborative working relationship with actors?
Well, the first thing I would say is John knew that I was a director before I was a director. He recognized the director in me, the writer in me, before I did. And he encouraged that. So, and in many ways became a mentor, not just during the film, but afterwards as well. And at one point was going to even produce what eventually became Men at Work. So I would encourage you to find a mentor, somebody that believes in you, somebody who you speak the same language in terms of character and you know, your vibe and however you're putting this film together. But find somebody that believes in you besides your mother, because mine believes in mine, and my mother believes in me. So it's and that's great. It's great to have your family behind, but to have somebody independent of that, to really believe in what you're doing is I think important.
Also, the most you can rehearse with your actors. I think that was a luxury that we had. We had about, I think, 2 weeks to rehearse this and to talk about the script. And not just running lines, but talking about the characters and talking about the relationships and how we felt and who would sit with who. With whom? Yeah. Thank you. I think that, I mean, I know it's a big luxury, but I think, so many movies now, you don't even, particularly if you're doing television, you just sort of show up on set and meet somebody for the first time. And, I think it really makes a difference to have that rehearsal process. And I mean, I came out of the theater, and, theater is all about rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And, so that would be my advice to you.
But it was always customary, wasn't it? You sort of gave up 2 weeks before you'd start shooting, or longer. And that was just sort of, it was understood. You showed up and you rehearsed, and you workshopped the movie before you shot it.
Yeah.
Even on The Outsiders, we shot the movie probably 20 times against a green screen before we shot the film. So Francis knew where we were going every step of the way. And in this case, too, it was all about the rehearsal. It was all about getting to know each other and figuring out what worked and what didn't.
Thank you guys so much.
Great points. Good luck, Kevin.
Good luck.
Go for it.
Hi, I'm Jennifer from Milwaukee, and I'm a librarian. So I want to start by thanking you, Emilio, for your movie, The Public, and representing a wider range of librarians, more accurate. So Breakfast Club is obviously a nostalgic movie and a touchstone for a lot of people, personally and professionally. And last night, I was able to attend the Psych panel here at C2E2, and many of you were on the show Psych, so I would love to hear any experiences that you want to share about that.
Okay, I want to jump in. The first and only time I've ever been on a set where they actually had teleprompters, like a newsroom, and the dialogue was so funny on that show, and I loved it. But becoming a middle-aged actor was challenging. So having the lines right there, I thought that was pretty cool. I know it's like a little bit of a cheat sheet, but this should help me. Thank you.
They didn't have those monitors for me. No.
I didn't have that either.
Yeah, but I asked them, they had some black gloves on the set, black rubber gloves. And I asked if I could wear them in the scene, and they said yes. And then I asked if I could wear them in every scene, and they said yes. So I had a blast.
I love Psych. That was the character of, that was just a dream character, Yang, and he just let me run with it. Just let me run with it, kind of the way John did. Just found Yang kind of on the fly. I really, really loved working on that show. That's not always my experience with television, but that one was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're up.
Hi, I'm Leah from Green Bay. I'm also a librarian.
Yay.
And Emilio.
Hold on, Leah. You're a cheesehead librarian.
I am.
Okay.
I am. Yes, I am. Thank you for your movie. I work in a library that offers refuge to a lot of unhoused people in our community, and your movie meant so much to us as a staff and as a community. So thank you so much. And for everyone, I can't think of the 80s without thinking of all of you. You guys were such a part of everything back then. Molly, I wanted to be you so much. Oh my gosh. But my question is for Michael here. It blows my Gen X mind to see you go from Farmer Ted to the last season of Reacher, which, oh my God. I can't believe you are the same person. What happened to Farmer Ted? How was that a purposeful change? Is there a little bit of Farmer Ted still in you somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel the most like Farmer Ted probably of all the characters I've ever created. But yeah, I mean, I think when we're talking about the typecasting aspect, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it was a bit of a challenge to kind of break that, you know, especially for my character because I had played the characters that John gave me, but there was so much more than that, you know, and so I just always had a hard head and a pretty good work ethic, and I was just determined just to keep going without knowing where it would wind up. But But yeah, Reacher, thank you for what you said. I appreciate that. I had fun on that show. Yeah.
It was amazing.
Big guy's on steroids, by the way, just so you know. Nice guy, but anyway. No, he's a great guy. And then him and the Giant were just eating around the clock. It was just like, it's like watching some NFL guys get to camp. It was pretty fun. Yeah, but thank you for that. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah.
So sadly, we are just about out of time. I just want to end by asking, anybody can answer this. Finish this sentence. I'm most thankful for the Breakfast Club for
John Hughes.
That seems like a good place to leave it. Thank you guys so much for making this happen today. Emilio, don't let it be another 40 years. Come on.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you for coming. Thank you all so much for coming. On behalf of this audience, thank you all for coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, the Breakfast Club. And we're going to do a little photo, too, with all of you guys in the background. So stand up.